Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not reporting to you from the side recording area because, well, I still have my Home and Horror Month stuff set in the back, and it's September, and I've already finished my main recordings. Uh, yeah, all 31. Those are all done. I got other things I would like to do throughout the month. I got other things I want to add to it, but since I got done so early. Uh, But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Superman. James Gunn's Superman, at one point called Superman Legacy. And even though he changed the Legacy name, he still said that's what this was going to be about. And no, I don't see that. Well, I guess there was one point, a plot point that I don't think. There are a few things in this that I don't think was necessary, but I think all my problems with this movie can be considered nitpicks to a point. Uh, I am not one of those sold on James Gunn's new cinematic universe. I would be if he actually is trying to put together a cohesive universe the way it should be. For all of Warner Brothers trying to copy Marvel, they don't want to take the time to actually use that formula. Instead, they say, James Gunn, you knew Marvel stuff, come in here. And he goes, okay, I'm doing whatever I want, making movies that, you know, you could. I remember when he did his this is my phase one or whatever he called it, chapter one, whatever. And he said Superman Legacy. There's a Supergirl movie he's doing, Woman of Tomorrow, which is now just going to be called Supergirl. Uh, and then there's Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is yet to even be greenlit because of we haven't announced a Batman. And even though I now have a Batman, we're doing Clayface now. That wasn't his initial thing. There was a Wonder Woman show, which I'm pretty sure is canceled because there's no Wonder Woman anymore. So I don't know why he would even, you know. They got Peacemaker, which they're slowly starting to retcon into being in this new universe. I haven't watched any of it. I haven't watched the first season yet, so I don't know. I didn't particularly like that character. I don't like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I'm sorry. It's a movie that is there only to get rid of everything from the first one except for two things, and that is Amanda Waller and Harley Quinn, because they couldn't touch Harley Quinn. If they could, she probably wouldn't have survived either. When you kill off one of the best characters from the first movie, you no longer have my support for that movie. No, killing off Captain Boomerang, one of the best characters from the first movie. He gets a few good lines and then... And the more I watch that movie, the more I hate it. I'm sorry. The first one was better. Fight me, bitches! But yeah, and then we got, there was other ones. There's a Blue Beetle cartoon. There's a Dynamic Duo one that's going to be part, what is it? It's animated. There's going to be traditional animation, CGI, and stop motion. I don't know what that's going to be. Probably a bomb. I don't know. They're doing, I don't know. And then, of course, he's doing his own personal passion project, The Authority. Something that only the deepest comic book readers would know about. So about 15 people are going to go see that movie. It'll probably bomb, and then maybe he'll learn a lesson not to push passion projects that nobody cares about. I don't know. Maybe it'll make more money. I don't know. But when he announced it, I'm like, the what? He's like, this is a personal project. And I went, no, that is not what we should be doing. Why can't you put together a cohesive universe, right? We start with Superman. Then we do a movie with Batman, and with Aquaman, and with Wonder Woman, and with The Flash, and with the Green Lanterns. And then we team them up together in a movie, like Marvel did. You are so desperate to capitalize on what Marvel did, but don't want to take the time to do it. Because the DCEU, which, yes, that's what it is officially called, I don't know why all of a sudden Warner Brothers was like, oh, we never actually called it that. It was on various websites. People were like, oh, the fans call it that. We never called it. Yes, you did. Okay, yes, you did. Because it's not just DCEU, it's a full name. DC Extended Universe. Fans couldn't just make that up. But you refused to take your time to push things. You went from the equivalent Iron Man with Man of Steel to Civil War with Batman v Superman to Captain America: The First Avenger with Wonder Woman, and then to the Avengers equivalent with Justice League. And you rushed it. And it bombed because you didn't want to take the time. Or maybe if you let Zack Snyder finish his vision, as we all know, it probably would have been pretty fucking good now, wouldn't it? But there are people out there that still bash Zack Snyder for no good reason, by the way. The man did nothing wrong. And if you didn't like this movie or you had anything bad to say about it, you must be a Zack Snyder fan. Because every time I criticize something in a trailer, I made a comment, they're like, oh, the Snyder fans are out. I'm like, I'm a Snyder fan. But that's not why I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing because I don't like something. And then the trailer came out. They already announced that Crypto was going to be in the movie, and I went, no, why? That's not something that would translate to the screen. I'm here to tell you, it works. I still don't like it, but it works for what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish with this character. Especially when they explain in the end why the character is like that. Though I don't think they needed to have a character look right at the screen and go, that's why he behaves like that. That's why he behaves like that. I don't think we needed... It's the equivalent of Ken Ivory Wayans and Don't Be a Menace going, message! I don't think we need a character looking straight at And then he's including all these characters, and I'm like, we're rushing again. We're adding a bunch of characters to a movie without building out the characters. And yeah, it just feels like it does just feel like we've added these characters in the universe. Thank God there's no, James Gunn has gone on record and saying we're not doing origin stories. You've seen origin stories a million times. You don't need to do that. And I like that. I like how he didn't start in Krypton, because that's one of my criticisms with Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel, but why do we spend 30 minutes on Krypton at the beginning of that movie when we already spent like 45 minutes in the first Superman movie back in 1978? That's one of my problems with that movie, is that, one thing about Lois and Clark, as many people will hate Dean Cain, is that movie goes straight to being in Metropolis, and he's Superman, and he's saving the day. That's what this one kind of does. And the trailer showed him being knocked into the snow and ice. And, okay, so the movie begins. So, I have a problem when you explain stuff with just writing on a screen. I know it's cliche to have someone doing a voiceover, but if you're going to do writing on a screen, don't do white writing over a light blue background so no one can fucking read it. I'm trying to read what it's saying. Basically what it's trying to say, I'll summarize it, is that metahumans existed for 3 centuries or 3 decades or something, and for 3 centuries and for 3 decades, so 30 years, Superman crash landed, has lived on Earth. And then 3 weeks ago, something was going on in Barovia, and then 3 minutes ago, he started fighting a metahuman called the Hammer of Barovia. And I'm like, metahuman? That's clearly a guy in a suit. How do you classify that as a metahuman? For those of you who don't know, is a person or being with superpowers. They mostly look human, but they're humans with superpowers. Basically, what metahumans is. That is clearly a guy in a suit. You saw it in the trailer, and then they say it's a metahuman. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. A metahuman is not someone with a superpowered suit, because then you can classify Iron Man as a metahuman. That's not what it is. Right? Technically, they classify Mr. Terrific as a metahuman, but he's not, because he uses technology. Metahumans are people with powers, like Hawkgirl. Technically, Green Lanterns aren't metahumans either, because their rings give them powers. Without them, nothing. And Superman's not even metahuman. right? You got metahumans. The Flash. That's a metahuman. I wouldn't even classify Aquaman, even though they said that, or Cyborg. Cyborg has cybernetics. Aquaman was born of Atlantis. I don't think he's a metahuman. He's an Atlantean. I don't know. Whatever they want to classify, whatever. Yeah, and it's literally the first trailer we got where he's in the ice. He calls for Krypto. Krypto beats the shit out of him and then drags him to the Forces of Solitude, which I like how they have it raise out and go back in all the time, which explains how no one ever finds the damn thing, even though it's in there in the middle of the Arctic. And then we get my first big gripe, because they show this in the trailers too, where they put him in the thing to put him into the sun so it can heal him. I went, why does he need a fancy seat? Because, like, James Gunn has commented, he took inspiration from Smallville and the Justice League cartoon. In the Justice League cartoon, all Superman needs to do is fly out into space, feel the sun, and then fly back. That's all he needs to do. Why does he need a fancy chair? And why, for the love of God, does it hurt him? I know James Gunn has said, we need to show that he is, we need to humanize him. I'm like, no, you don't. The whole point of Superman is like, people were like, this is what we need. We need to humanize him because Zack Snyder classified him as a god. Yeah, because he is a god. He's an otherworldly thing who is infallible to everything except for kryptonite. He can fly. He has laser vision. He has super strength. He is, for all intents and purposes, is a god. Zack Snyder was right to do that. And you call me a Snyder fanboy all you want. Whatever. I'm not kissing his ass. I'm telling you that he did that. That's, So you gotta make him... to be fair, it doesn't hurt him for that long. It's a blast of sunlight. This seems to be the only time it does hurt him, though, because later with Metamorpho, when he does it, it's not like that. So I don't... Maybe it's just their machine. I don't know. Yeah. So he's healed, but he's not 100%. But he's healed enough to go back. And eventually the Hammer of Baravia leaves, and we find out, but we know from the trailers that it's because it takes the helmet off. It uses there's like a little portal thing. I'm like, what is that portal thing? Find out later it's a pocket dimension, which apparently is very, very bad for Earth. And once Mr. Terrific said something about it, or about how pocket dimensions work, I'm like, no, that's not. I knew it was going to happen. I went, no, we don't need that to happen. It does. It does, but yeah. And so the Hammer of Baravia takes the helmet off, and it's the guy in the black suit that we saw in the trailers that everyone called was Ultraman, and James Gunn kept saying, no, Ultraman's not in the movie. Even though you have a character with a suit with a giant-ass U on it, what else are we supposed to know? Think it is, right? Lex Luthor's the villain. He is, but he's not the only villain. You have the operator, whatever her name is, Angela, that's what they calls her. I don't remember what's she called. The engineer, right. The engineer who's a member of the Authority. I couldn't care less about her character, but she's here. And then Ultraman, who's not afraid of chickens, but maybe a little bit afraid of chickens. Oh, that's all I kept thinking of. Every time I said Ultraman, I became Sheen. Ultraman! Ultraman is not afraid of chickens. He is not afraid. Okay, maybe a little bit afraid of chickens. Every time I said Ultraman, I thought of Jimmy Neutron. So then we get him going to the Daily Planet. We see that stuff, and he and Lois are together. Even though during this conversation at the Daily Planet, she acts like she doesn't know he's Superman, but then later, I'm like, so she doesn't know. And then, like, once they're alone, I'm like, oh, she does know, she just wasn't okay. Hey, something that actually betrays Lois is, like, keeping her mouth shut in public. And not, and that is totally. And I have questions at the end. Yeah, so they're together. And then we have a scene I think they could have just not put in this movie, where he's like, because Clark is always interviewing Superman. Put the quotes wherever you need in there. And so she's like, I want to interview Superman. He goes, you think you can handle it? So they have an interview, or a sort of interview, where they're talking and it becomes an argument. And this whole argument was all of that movie Superman, basically. Where, do you think you should... Because one of my problems from the trailer as well was they're doing it again, where it's like, oh, he flew into Baravia and Kamehameha, whatever the other one is, and that's not his jurisdiction. He doesn't belong there. Look here, people. He's an alien from outer space. He can go wherever the hell he wants. Okay, he doesn't need jurisdiction. He doesn't need permission. He is a superhero. This was my problem with Civil War. For anyone even considering signing those damn accords. Because the government, and it's even the real government, thinks they need to control everything. I'm just saying. I'm not going to go into it. But, especially in movies, you see a lot of that. And they don't go too much into the government side of things, but that was my problem with Civil War, is that I did not believe anyone would sign those accords, because it means they will be controlled by the government, and no one needs that. Right? Yet, they needed to have someone on his side, otherwise Tony Stark would be sitting there by himself, with maybe Rhodey. Who knows? But to me, it was not believable that anyone would have chosen to sign those accords. I'm just saying. And for anyone to ask, which side are you on? The only correct answer was Cap. Because Captain America means freedom. That's why Superman means hope. But yeah, because he interfered and helped out another country, they're questioning it. Like, oh, should he have interfered in other people's... Or America interferes in other people's problems all the times. All the times. All the times. What am I? Santino. All the times. All the time. And you're questioning Superman for doing it. It's the same issue they had with Batman v Superman, where he interfered. Well, in that one, they thought he killed everyone in that desert. But, whatever. So I should also mention, because it's a plot point, when he's getting his rejuvenation son, rejuvenated by the sun, there we go. They play a video, which is from his birth parents, Jor-El and Lara L. I know Lara Larvan or whatever. I don't know, Lara. It's not in English, and it's in some weird Kryptonian, they say, and I'm like, Kryptonians speak English. I don't know what James Gunn is trying to do here, because it doesn't really add to anything. Literally, like, oh, we translated it. So what's the point of having a different language if it's going to have Lex Luthor be able to translate it very easily? And it's half a message with the other message kind of destroyed, or not being able to watch it. Just part of the message. And yes, Bradley Cooper is Jor-El. Now we're gonna have to talk about this message later, because people were starting to talk about certain portrayals, and I went, well, no. And then after watching this, I'm still on that. Well, no. But yeah. So Lex then tracks down the Fortress of Solitude and steals the message. He's looking for something to destroy him, but he finds the message, which will help. And he sends a kaiju, which they call it in the movie. Everyone was calling it a kaiju. I'm convinced that James Gunn didn't know what to call it. And since he heard everybody calling it a kaiju, he's like, I will call it a kaiju. Why not? Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, And it's this little thing, and they're like, it's kind of small. It'll get bigger. Okay. So then Superman is fighting the kaiju while Luthor. I like how they say Luthor instead of Luthor. I hate it when they pronounce Luthor. It's Luthor. Okay? Well, Luthor sneaks in, he gets that video footage. So, the Justice Gang, and yes, they're going to be called that. Many times they say, no, that's not our name. Which is, at this point, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, who I'm a fan of, by the way, and Hot Girl, and not so much. She's okay, but they do something with her towards the end of the movie, and then don't come back to it. I'm assuming they're going to talk about it in the sequel. Yeah, they've already greenlit a sequel to this thing, which is another problem, because you're doing a second Superman movie, and you haven't established any other major superheroes yet. No Batman, no Wonder Woman, no... all the ones I listed earlier. None of those. We're just doing... you know... And you could say that about Iron Man 2. But something you might not know is that Iron Man 2 wasn't even supposed to happen yet. They had to do it because... what's his name? Edward... What's his name? Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's Ant-Man movie fell through. So they put Iron Man 2 into production to replace that movie and put Ant-Man later into the production schedule, into phase 2, after the second Avengers movie. Because Ant-Man and Wasp were supposed to be in the Avengers. I don't know if you know that. If you want to know all about that, Erod, the Blockbuster Buster, go to his channel. He did a Legends of Fandom on that. Very good video. Also, want to know what... Also, watch his Justice League Mortal video, because he talks about that movie too, what that was supposed to be. But yeah. The hell was I talking about? But yeah, so he fights the kaiju. The Justice Gang kill the kaiju, which is a moral question, because we're supposed to kill him. We're going to take him to a galactic zoo or something. And I thought, was that a nod to the fact that in Justice League, Superman has a zoo in a Fortress of Solitude? That could have been something. You get that little thing, he shrinks down and he goes in. That could be something, but no, they killed it. And then the video comes across, and this is what people were talking about. So they said they made Jor-El a villain. So what people think about how they made Jor-El a villain? How James Gunn made Jor-El a villain. Bold move. So this video, after the heartwarming stuff, says that you are there to conquer and take many wives to repopulate our Kryptonian people. Okay. There's so much to unload here. First of all, this is not the first time Jor-El has been portrayed as a villain. Those are saying it's the first time because they haven't watched Smallville. And I said that on a post, and someone said, Goody, you haven't watched Smallville because Jor-El cared. Yeah, a different Jor-El. Not the Jor-El that was portrayed in the first several seasons of the show, who sent Clark there to conquer. That was his quest, was to conquer Earth, and Clark didn't want to do it. That's the whole problem. And he kept throwing out tests. At the end, it's like, oh, I was testing you the whole time. No, your plan didn't work and you just pivoted. Pivot. That's all you did. And the version, the Julian Sands version that the person in the post that commented on my comment referenced was a totally different Jor-El than the one that Terrence Stamp played. Rest in peace, by the way. To both men. Yeah. Also, they immediately, as soon as this happens, they all turn on Superman. And I'm like, well, I think James Gunn actually stole this from something else. Dragon Ball Z. Because if you don't know about that, Goku is actually sent to Earth by the Saiyans to conquer. But he got a bump on the noggin and forgot who he was. And became Earth's greatest savior. Much like Superman. So yeah, they've all turned against him. We get the scene inside the bank. They're like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. And I was still confused by the end of this movie because I was waiting for it to be revealed that that second part was fake, that Luthor faked it. But people kept saying, no, it's real, it's real. And I'm like, so what? He has technology to fake it. No, it's real. It's real. Okay. But I don't think it makes Jor-El a villain for trying to repopulate his, to prevent genocide. Because we know, as of right now, we know there's only 2 living Kryptonians, right? Him and Supergirl. Oh, we're gonna get to her. But anyway, so now everyone's, oh no, fuck Superman, we're done. By the way, why the hell does Superman say stuff like golly and gee? I understand he was raised on a farm, but he was also raised with humans. Just say shit and damn. Ah, hell. No, come on. Why does he have to be all golly gee? This isn't the 1940s. Went more the comic book. Yeah, but the comics are outdated. And they updated it. Where in comics they do say damn and hell and stuff like that. Everyone else says it, but him apparently in this universe, I don't know. So, for some reason, the government gives Lex Luthor the authority. I see what I did. I didn't do that on purpose, but to imprison Superman. Why does Lex Luthor get that authority? And he imprisons him in the pocket dimension with Metamorpho, or he's not Metamorpho here. He's just they called him the Elemist or something like that. The Element Man. What he called him. I also call him by his real name, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, Metamorpho, who could turn his hand into kryptonite. I didn't like earlier in the movie when they said that most of it was gone. That's not realistic. And I know this is a comic book movie, but if you're gonna involve politics, I'm gonna go more realistic on stuff. There should still be kryptonite in places, but no, he uses his hand to create the kryptonite. And why is he doing this? Well, it turns out that Lex Luthor has his baby, which looks like an alien, but Metamorpho was supposed to be a metahuman, so I don't know. And I show his wife is human later. Rex. His name is Rex Mason. I remember his name. And Superman is laying there after Luthor leaving. He's like, I can help you save your kid. He's like, don't talk to me. I'm like, no, seriously, he can help you. No, we gotta wait 20 minutes so we can pad out the runtime for this 2-hour and 9-minute movie. And I'm like, yeah, it's that easy to just say, I can help you get your kid. Okay. Save the kid. Fly out. Boom. No, we gotta pad out the runtime apparently. Because I'm like, why doesn't he just do that? And then I realized, oh, because the movie would be over quicker. Don't present us with a situation that could have been solved easily, and then don't do that and make us realize you're just wasting time. Because that's all it is. I'm just saying. So Lois is now worried about Superman and need to find out where he is. So she goes to the Justice Gang, and again, they could just help, but if they all helped, it would be over quicker. So just Mr. Terrific helps in his giant little spaceship thingy. And yeah, so they go to Baravia and they find a portal, which there's also a portal in Metropolis, but they have to fly all the way to Baravia to find that one, because that's where he tracked it to. I guess that's where he took him, because there's nanites in his body. Courtesy of Ray Palmer. It's an Arrowverse reference. They could have used that line. Come on. James Gunn is a fan of the Arrowverse. Anyway. So. They track it down. And then they just stand there in the portal the whole time as he's tracking him. And I'm like, again, they could just go down there and help. But they don't. Because if they did, it would be over. And then Metamorpho was like, hey, you said you could help me? Okay. And he's like, well, I can't make the sun. but I can make something like the sun. You literally make what he literally makes is the sun. He uses the components that make up the sun, and he does that, and it heals it, but not completely. Then he saves Krypto because they took Krypto, and that was. Where's the dog? When he broke into Luthor's men, where's the dog? Throws the desk. I like that. That was from earlier. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that Jimmy Olsen and Miss Tetzmacher are secretly having a relationship. Well, it's sort of one-sided, as he's just sort of using her for information. And she sends a bunch of what appear to be selfies, but actually are incriminating evidence, because she's taking the selfies in front of his, like, corkboard or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, this is one part where I'm going, Lex Luthor is supposed to be the greatest criminal mind. Why would he allow her to take selfies in his lair or his building, whatever? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, so while Lois and Mr. Terrific, by the way, there's a fantastic fight sequence in Munjahar or whatever they're from, whatever it's called, Baravia, with Mr. Terrific before they go into the portal thing. Pretty cool. The T-Spheres. I love the T-Spheres. I'm a Mr. Terrific fan, but my son an action figure for his birthday. You know? Anyway. So as they're standing there just talking, trying to find Superman, he's like, the whole thing could collapse, and they could create, split the Earth in two, and I'm like, don't do that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Just like Man of Steel ended with a bunch of damage to Metropolis. Let's not do that again. They do it. And I guess splitting the Earth in half, people are saying it's like the comic books, it's like the cartoons. Okay, then I want the next movie to completely ignore that. If it's going to be like the cartoons and like the comics, the next movie completely ignores it. There's no reconstruction. There's none of that. Completely ignore it. Like the cartoons would. Just, if you're going to follow those, completely ignore it. Well, I haven't touched on Ma and Pa Kent because, well, I guess we'll get there. Just a minute. So, as they are escaping, Superman and Rex and Krypto is fascinated with the T-Spheres because he thinks it's a toy. They're fighting the Raptors, which are Lex's robots or security team or whatever in there, and they eventually are able to get out. And Superman then goes to the Kent farm to heal from the sun and everything. Okay, I'll talk about the Kents here. Both alive, and that's fine, because Lois and Clark did that, sure. Why do they have stupid accents? At least Ma Kent does. When they talked to him on the phone earlier, I went, no, they're not supposed to have stupid accents. I know they're from Kansas, but no version of the Kents have ever had a stupid accent. I can't take Ma Kent seriously. I'll go get your boots. No. They don't need a stupid accent. I'm sorry. They don't. I know a lot of these are nitpicks. They don't need an accent. You just... Okay? I mean, it reminds me of the sheriff from Smoke. Mr. Kent. She had an accent. But that was her. The Kents don't have those accents. Come on. Hell, Lana's from Kansas and she sounds Canadian. Because the actress is. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway. Hey, don't make fun of me, buddy. Don't call me buddy, guy. Don't call me guy, friend. Hey, what do you think? Calm down. Anyway. I don't know what that was. So, as he's... Again, I'm sitting here, I'm going... If we're making this like the cartoons and the comics, why does it need to take so long for him to heal? Because they said that earlier when he healed. Oh, you're not at full strength. Why the hell not? Like, Again, all he needs to do is fly out in front of the sun, soak up the rays, and fly back. He's fine. This movie contradicts itself. Because it's like, oh, or James Gunn contradicts himself. We're making it like the comics and the cartoons. So why does it take forever for him to heal then? It's not realistic like the Snyder movies. So why make his healing more realistic? It doesn't make any sense. And it takes a news report of the war escalating between Munjadar, whatever it's called, and Baravia. And to finally decide, I'm going to fly back. Does he not bring his boots? Because at one point I see bare feet. I don't know. But Lois takes the terrific alien spaceship thingy to the Daily Planet, where they are getting ready to process all the stuff that Miss Tessmacher sent to Jimmy. I liked Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy, but I needed at least one CK from him. And I didn't get one. I needed one CK at least. Alright, CK, I needed that. Didn't get it. Next one, James Gunn. Man of Tomorrow, whatever you end up calling it. I need a CK. Alright? Anyway. I also don't mind my man Wendell. I like Wendell as Perry White. But again, I have to express this. His name is Perry White. So why can't we cast him with a white actor? And yes, I know it's in the comics. They made new comics that made him not white. He's black, whatever. But why can't Frank Langella was good. Jackie Cooper was good. Even Michael McKean was good. And he wasn't even portraying an accurate version of that character. But anyway, Wendell's good, don't get me wrong. And I like Larry Fishburne. He was good too. And yeah. And Beck Bennett is Steve Lombard. He's fine. I was like, they announced, I'm like, who? Come to find out, he was in Man of Steel, but I never knew the guy's name. He's the guy from Dawn of the Dead. One of the guys with the guns in Dawn of the Dead. I'm like, him? Okay. That's who it was? Anyway, so they all get into this thing, which they said they would have enough spots, but Lombard doesn't get a seat, okay. And they're flying around as the thing is tearing up the city. And I'm waiting for Superman to show up and stop this thing. But he doesn't. He goes to Baravia, and the other ones are... Or he doesn't go to Baravia, because Mr. Terrific is there and says, we need you here. And he gets there, but he's kind of late. And then we get a fight. They land in the stadium, right? They fight him in the stadium. And this is where he fights Ultraman and the Engineer. And the Engineer tries to suffocate him. And I'm like, well, Superman doesn't breathe, but okay. Not really. But then they say it goes into his lungs. I'm like, okay, I guess that would do something. But it's like, if Superman can fly in space, and sometimes I know they depict him with a suit, but he's flown in space before, then he doesn't need to breathe. But I like how they have it go, the nanite things go into his lungs. So I'm like, okay, that would do something, I guess. But then he just flies into space, and then crashes back down with them, which apparently kills the Engineer. I thought she was going to have her own movie. Maybe they already decided to cancel that, and I just killed her off. I don't know. And then we get the reveal that Ultraman is a clone of Superman. And I went, no, that's Bizarro. And even his description, I created the perfect clone. Well, he's stupid, but he follows instructions. I'm like, that is Bizarro. All I needed from this character was for him to say, "Me am Superman." Bizarro. And I'm hoping this Ultraman character comes back now deformed as Bizarro, because yeah, we need Bizarro, right? Oh, but James Gunn said Ultraman wasn't in the movie, but there he is, because the toys ruined it. Yeah. They want movies that need to sell toys, but I don't think toys should come out till after the movie releases. It's like, even Endgame, the little costumes that they wear when they go through time, those were spoiled because of the toys. So it's like, and with the internet now, you can't even try to hide that anyway. But anyway, so they fight, and eventually he destroys him by throwing him into the black hole that they almost fell in earlier. And he saves the day. The day is saved. No pop-up girls here. It's Superman. Superman is now... Yeah, oh, that's right. Over in Baravia, I keep forgetting that name. The Justice Gang and Metamorpho are there saving the day. And Hawk Girl kills the president of Baravia? And I'm like, well, I thought that whole thing Superman said about not killing the Kaiju earlier would have changed them, but I guess not. And again, that's never addressed within the movie at all. Oh, there is a Peacemaker cameo earlier on after they think that Superman is evil or something. He's like, I never trust him anyway, And then you have Maxwell Lord at the end here too, but no. Oh, and the Justice Gang's headquarters is the Hall of Justice. It cuts to it, and all I needed was, meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice. That's literally what it is. But, yeah. And even the running joke is that Guy Gardner keeps calling it the Justice Gang. He's like, no, we're not calling it that. He's like, but we outvoted you. He goes, yeah, but his vote doesn't count. And I'm the leader, so I get to outvote you. I'm like, okay. So then here at the end, he's like, "Hey man, hey Rex, you want to join the Justice Gang?" And they're like, "No, we don't." He goes, or they're like, "Yeah, you want to join the Justice Gang?" And he's like, "No, we don't need him." Guy Gardner said, "We don't need him." He's like, "Justice Gang, I like that." And Guy Gardner goes, "You're in." And she just rolls her eyes like, oh great, we're gonna be called the Justice Gang. So yeah. And then Superman and Lois kiss in the air. And I went, isn't she publicly dating Clark Kent? Nobody knows he's Superman. But then they're like, how long has that been happening? About 3 months. So wait. So, it's well known now that she banging both Superman and Clark Kent. Or is the Clark Kent the secret relationship? I don't know. Or are they hinting that Jimmy knows that he's Clark? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Oh, there is one thing of note. Apparently Lex Luthor holds all of his ex-girlfriends in the prison in the Pocket Universe, which... they're all free now, apparently. And, yeah. I don't know if there was any post-credit scenes, because when I tried to go back, my HBO Max froze up. It's always just HBO Max that messes up on me. I couldn't get back in to watch the rest of the credits, but... so I don't know. Oh! That's right. We got one more thing. We're back at the fortress, because this is how the movie ends, actually. Back at the fortress, and we find out that the reason... and that's one of the robots goes, oh, that's why he behaves that way. As much as James Gunn wants to follow the comics, and this was actually announced, like, people were spoiling this. This is one of the things that was spoiled for me. Like, Crypto Supergirl's dog. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Superman's dog. He is in the movie. No, that's not, no. And then people were criticizing this portrayal of Supergirl. Now, I criticized that they cast the wrong actress because Meg What's-Her-Face from the Disney zombie movies was up for the role. And she even voiced the character in the animated movies. And they went with the Game of Thrones chick for some reason. And she's fine, but like... if you cast Meg, shut up, Meg, not that Meg, Nutmeg. If you cast Meg, you wouldn't then need to worry about someone having to keep an American accent through the whole movie, like they're gonna have to with Millie Alcock. Yes, that is her name, and yes, it's been made fun of. Who is British, I think, or New Zealand, whatever. Australian? British. She's not American, is what I'm saying. So she shows up, she's drunk, and again, that's not how it works. Because again, they have to have Superman look at the camera and go, she goes to other planets to get drunk. Thanks for explaining, James. Other planets with red suns. Okay. But again, as soon as she would get into the radiation of the yellow sun, it would wear off. She would not still be drunk at this point. And she clearly is. Make it make sense. You be realistic or not. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. I don't know. But yeah, because I saw the clip and I went, well, people were like, that she's drunk. And that's apparently from the story that James Gunn is trying to tell, Woman of Tomorrow, whatever. Sure. And people were like, well, she can't get drunk on Earth. And we're like, well, duh, they say in the movie that she goes to planets with red suns. Well, the person that said that probably hadn't seen the movie yet, so thanks for spoiling. That wasn't me that said it, but I got spoiled. I'm like, yeah. And I didn't type this, but I thought, yeah, but as soon as she got within the range of the yellow sun, she wouldn't be drunk anymore. The sun should heal her. But because they've established that the yellow sun takes forever to heal them for some reason, which is more realistic than what they said they were going to do with this movie, I guess it works. And then they kind of play a little bait and switch where they're like, would you like to watch videos of your parents? He likes that. It helps him relax. And it's of his Earth parents now instead of his Kryptonian parents. And that's how the movie ends. I liked it. I had gripes, but I liked it. Where does it stand within the Superman movies? I think it's better than 3, 4, and Returns. I think Superman the movie and Superman 2, especially the Donner cut, are better. The Lester cut of Superman 2 is fine. I don't know if I'd call it better. It's not better than Man of Steel. Sorry. It's not. But I'll give it a pretty good. Man of Steel will go down in history as one of the best. I'm doing the Trump pants. Man of Steel, the best Superman ever. One of the best, they say. The best, they say. Best in the world, in the planet. The best planet, they say. Some would say. The best ever. Was a great hit in China. Okay? No. I started doing that. But anyway, yeah, just like, I don't know, Man of Steel is still better for me. And again, I've watched Man of Steel so many times. This is my first time watching this, so maybe once I get the Blu-ray, which I will get. I watched this on HBO Max, by the way. I think I said that. Yeah, one of the rare times that it was put on a streaming service before the movie came out on physical media. They started doing that before and then realized, well, people are just watching it on streaming and not buying the movie on physical media, so we're going to... Well, some people were, but, you know, I don't know. But, like, yeah. And Marvel used to do same day, and now they wait to put their movies on Disney Plus. But I liked it, okay? I thought David Cornsweet was good. Did I say his name right? Rachel Brosnahan was good. I already talked about Jimmy Olsen and Wendell and all that. Nicholas Hoult. I have my doubts, and I'm always iffy on the castings of Lex Luthor because I want so desperately for it to be Billy Zane, and I think Billy Zane's gotten too old for the role. I keep asking all the time, Billy Zane, and they cast him, and I'm like, no! Why one of the worst X-Men actors? Why? He sucks as beast. Okay? He was good in that zombie movie where he's in love with the blonde chick. He was good in that. He's not a bad actor. And they said they based the character on Michael Rosenbaum's performance, and I can see that. Would I prefer Michael Rosenbaum? Probably. But he's fine. He's good, I should say, not fine. He's good as Lex Luthor. And they used Luthor Corp instead of Lex Corp, because again they're kind of following Smallville. But I need to point out, and a small spoiler alert: by the end of Smallville, it's Lex Corp. So technically, there's an X in there because the Luthor gets destroyed from the building, and there's an X next to the L and the Corp. So it hints at Lex Corp. Yeah. His building is destroyed, by the way. His little compartment flew out. You know. But yeah, I thought it was good. There was complaints for the trailers and the sneak peeks that the CGI was bad. There's the whole thing where he's flying, and I'm like, they showed it again, and I'm like, that's not that bad. When I saw it the first time, I'm like, it's not that bad. People were like, oh my god! I'm like, what? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see the point. I don't see the problem. And they're like, oh, the CGI is terrible. And James Gunn's like, there's no CGI in that clip. People are like, what? Yeah, because people are so quick to go, oh, the CGI is bad, without even thinking about that it might not be CGI. So, yeah, so I'll give it to James Gunn. You impressed me. You did good. Not great, but you did good. Okay? I would actually say that this movie is pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Superman? Then we'll comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.